Driver at number 22, Shell Pennzoil Ford for Team Penske. We'll just go ahead and open up the questions. If you have any questions, we'll get a mic to you. We'll start here with Rick.
Hey, Joey. Rick Pennell with Shell Observer. This morning, Brad was saying that he thought that you and Kyle were probably neck and neck as far as the best in the sport at restarts. And one of the things he talked about was what a big deal he thinks restarts have become since the double file starts. Could you talk a little about, has that become sort of a small refined art, a sort of a specialty?
For sure. There's a lot of opportunity on restarts to go either way. It can go good or it can go really bad, really quick. So really, it's something I study a lot. For each racetrack, it takes something different to be successful on a restart. It takes a lot of, time talking with your crew chief, understanding what you need in your race car to be able to make some of the moves you need to make. But like Brad said earlier, I'm assuming from what you said, they're very, very important. And it's a big challenge. Everyone's trying to make up as much as they can. And, especially here at Pocono, this is one of those racetracks that is, you have a long straightaway before you get down to turn one. And there's usually only about 2 lanes that are really worth anything when you get there. And so there's a lot of side drafting and pulling each other back and 3, 4 wide, sometimes 5 wide going into turn one, and you got to find a hole to get in there. And it becomes very challenging, and you don't want to be the guy that's left out. A lot of times the aggressor is the one that wins out on that thing, but sometimes the aggressor is the one that gets, maybe puts himself in the wrong spot. So it's a calculated decision on each restart on knowing who you're racing, the tendencies they've had in the past, what racetrack you're at, and kind of putting all that together to make the decisions on the restarts on making these moves, because it becomes so challenging to pass afterwards. When you talk about here or Indy or really most racetracks we go to, it's very hard to pass these days, and the opportunities on the restart. So, it's push hard, and it's that way across the board. Every driver is doing that. It's just a matter of doing it in the right way.
And go back to Dom, then up front.
Dominic Ottago on the RacingExperts.com. When you look at the last 4 races here for your 3 top 5 finishes, how much do you and your team look into those kind of numbers coming into a race weekend like this?
None. That's the first I heard it. So I should answer your question. We don't really look at the stats, and something Roger Penske says all the time is don't trip over your press clippings. That would be the perfect example of that. I think you can kind of get lost in the stats sometimes and think you're better than what you are at a particular racetrack or whatever it may be. So it's important for us to be able to, remember how we ran last time, yes, and learn from our mistakes and where we can be better. But that's in the history, right? That's in the past. It's gone. We need to focus on how we can make more top 5s and more wins. And I feel like we got a car that can do that this week.
Come up.
Joey, Rich Colbert, the Motor Racing Network. Getting away from the track just a little bit. The Summer Olympics start in just about a week. Is that something you get into, and is there a particular event that you like?
I love the Olympics. I love seeing the emotion of the athletes, and I really don't care what sport it is. I think I've learned over the years as an athlete to appreciate the amount of time and effort they put into it. And it's fun to watch athletes that don't get to compete as much as we do in the limelight, right? It's once every 4 years. They're getting a shot at it once every 4 years. And we get to race Daytona 500 every year. This is their 500 or their championship, and they only get a shot once every 4 years. And I think understanding that pressure that they get put under to do that and be able to, succeed and really perform under that type of pressure is very impressive to me. Because you mess up, you think about it for 4 years, so it's definitely, it's amazing to see how they prepare and watching their interviews and how they talk, and I could learn a lot from that, and I think that's something I really enjoy more than the actual event itself. I like trying to figure out how I can make myself better and learning about way athletes from different sports are able to do that and prepare themselves for the biggest event of their career.
We're going to go to the back to Pat.
Pat DeCola, NASCAR.com. There may be some out there, but I've yet to hear drivers say that they aren't on board with where NASCAR is going with the aero package. Why is that? And, is this something that all drivers really want?
For sure. I think the Driver Council is something that's really helped us communicate to NASCAR, and NASCAR really accepts what we've been doing over there. And I think, it's definitely open lines of communication, which is great. Is it they do everything we say? No, of course not. And it probably shouldn't be. We need to get everybody's opinion, right? We got to get the owners, we got to get the drivers, we got to get the tracks, everyone's got a council these days. So everyone needs to be able to agree on things before we can move forward on stuff. But it is nice for the drivers to, come together as one voice and be able to communicate what we want. So it's definitely, there's a lot of layers on how we do that and how we communicate, and then communicate that to NASCAR. And I think we've seen some things get pushed through that it's going to be good for our sport. And I think when you look at the low downforce, to answer your question, I don't think there's really any drivers that want it the other way. It's just, I think we've proven, this year is better racing than last year. And I think, I think even with the 17 package with a couple refineries or whatever it may be, can be even better than this package. The ultimate goal is to, be behind a car and not affect your car. It's always going to affect your car, but if you can do it at the minimum amount, it's going to be better racing for everybody to watch.
Additional questions for Joey Logano? We go up there to Scott.
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times Tribune. Joey, can you talk a little bit about the using the digital dashboards this year and everything? What do you think of them, preferences, especially too because you run sometimes in the Xfinity Series where they don't have them?
Right, so they're quite a bit different than what we're used to. I think for years you're used to using the as a spec gauge is what they were called, and they're able to run all your pit road lights on it. There's advantages and disadvantages of the dash. I think the dash itself is something cool. It brings us more towards the modern era with the way the street cars are today. I think that's a good thing. Challenges that we have is pit road stuff. A lot of times it's a little delayed is what ends up happening on your dash because it has to go through, from what I understand, it has to go through some kind of processor and this and that. And then I don't know. I'm not a computer guy, but whatever it is, it's delayed to what your actual speed is. So trying to understand that is taking a different technique inside the race car to maximize your pit road speed, which is it's a massive challenge. And like Kyle said, sitting in here earlier in the back and listening to Kyle, but there is a lot of different layouts and a lot of, different ways you can do things so you can be creative, which is kind of fun. It's different. It's nice. There's a lot more opportunity with it, I think, than what we used to have. So it's a step in the right direction. I think we can make them better for sure. Like anything, right? I mean, I'm always looking to make something better. That's what we should do is just people in society. But I think that is definitely a direction that's right for the sport. But there's another step that I think we can make it even better.
Good deal. Well, Joey, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and good luck this weekend here at the Tricky Triangle.
Great. Thanks, guys.